Hi there, welcome back to the channel, and in this hour, let's do another question bank to check if you have absorbed the concepts or not. So what I would suggest is after every question, please take a pause and try to answer it. In case you cannot, you always have the option to go through the explanation for each question that is provided in this video. Moving on to the first question, which is not a characteristic of oligopoly? So let's look at these options one by one. Option A says very few firms dominate the market, and we know that this is true in case of an oligopoly. Option B says demand can be elastic or inelastic. This is also true in case of an oligopoly because as we saw in the kinked demand curve model that you can see here, for price increases, the demand drops very fast, leading to a high elasticity of demand. So, which means from point A to point O, demand is highly elastic. So, this is highly elastic. Likewise, for price decreases, the demand rises very slowly, leading to price inelasticity. So, moving on from O to C, the demand is highly inelastic in nature. So this is the kinked demand curve model, and hence we can say that demand can be either elastic or inelastic here. Moving on to option C, firms are interdependent on each other. This is definitely true for an oligopoly because as we saw in our discussion on Carnot's model and Nash equilibrium, where the pricing strategy of one firm depends on the pricing strategy of the other firms in the industry. And moving on to option D, all the firms face a perfectly elastic demand curve. This is not true for oligopoly. In fact, this holds good for perfect competition. So I would say option D holds good for as an answer to this question. And finally, moving on to option E, the marginal revenue curve is a U-shaped curve. So the marginal revenue curve for an oligopoly is discontinued at the equilibrium price. So from B to E, there is a discontinuity in the marginal revenue curve. So this is the kinked demand curve model, and definitely here the marginal revenue curve is not a U-shaped curve. So this is again not a characteristic of oligopoly. So option D and option E hold good for this question. Moving on to the next question, the oligopolist's demand curve is elastic when it increases the price. So now we are talking about the segment AO because here the demand is highly elastic in nature. Now, what is the reason for this? Even before we try to answer this question, let's think about what happens when a firm in an oligopoly market increases the price. The immediate reaction of this would be that the rivals would decrease the price, thereby trying to grab the market share. As a result, the quantity demanded for the firm decreases at a much faster rate as compared to increases in the price. And hence we can say that the demand is highly elastic. So I would go with option B. An increase in price is followed by rivals' decrease in price, which makes the demand curve highly elastic when there is a price increase. The next question, which line represents the area where the equilibrium quantity remains the same irrespective of changes in price? So as you can see here, BE from point B to point E is the line of discontinuity in the marginal revenue curve, and we saw earlier when we discussed the kinked demand curve model that at this region, that is at this region of discontinuity of the marginal revenue curve, the equilibrium quantity does not change irrespective of the changes in the price. So there is a more detailed explanation of this given in the suggested video that you can see on the top right hand corner of the screen. Oligopoly pricing strategy most likely results in a demand curve that is kinked vertical or horizontal. So definitely we have discussed this already. So the demand curve in an oligopoly market is kinked. The next question, In a market where two firms are operating, a situation of Nash equilibrium represents what? Number one, a state when marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. Now, this is a state which is an optimal point of production for the firm. Option B, when both the firms collude and reach a higher price level. Option C, consumers pay a fair price for the goods. And option D, when both the firms reach a state where a change in strategy by either of the firms would lower its profits. So think about what is Nash equilibrium and try to get the answer for this question. All right. So we saw earlier that when Nash equilibrium is attained, either of the firms cannot change their pricing strategy because any change in price by any of the firms would result in a counter strategy by the rival firm, thereby decreasing the profits. So option D holds good. Let's move on to the next one. The payoff matrix below shows two banks that compete on the same product. So you have two different banks here, the Yes Bank and the Asian Bank. Currently, they share the market and the demand is quite inelastic. Since banks are highly regulated, they cannot collude. Which is the most optimal pricing strategy to maximize their profit? So this is a classic example of game theory. So let's begin with Asian Bank, which is here. So suppose Asian Bank charges high. So we are in this part of the matrix now, where Asian Bank charges high. Now there are two options for Yes Bank. It can either charge high or it can charge low. And if it charges high, then it earns 20 million. And if it charges low, then it earns 25 million. So which is the best optimal strategy for Yes Bank? Definitely it is to charge a lower price. So when Asian Bank charges high, when Asian Bank is charging a high price, Yes Bank should charge low. Now suppose Asian Bank charges low. So now let me look at this part of the matrix where Asian Bank charges low. So in this case, again, there are two options for Yes Bank, to charge high or to charge low. And if it charges high, it earns 5 million. And if it charges low, it earns 10 million. So definitely in this case as well, it is in the best interest of Yes Bank to charge low. So when Asian Bank charges low, Yes Bank should also charge low. So we saw that in any case, it is beneficial for Yes Bank to charge low. So charging a low price is the dominant pricing strategy for Yes Bank. Likewise, since the payoff matrix shows similar payoffs for Asian Bank as well, charging a low price would be the dominant strategy for Asian Bank also. So the most optimal strategy for both the banks would be to charge low. So we can say that the dominant strategy for both the banks is to charge a low price. The next question, a market structure where there are many sellers with each having some pricing power and product differentiation is called what? So this is a very distinct characteristic of monopolistic competition where there are many sellers and each seller tries to differentiate his product and gain some pricing power over his product. Also, in such markets, the products are near substitutes of each other, but not perfect substitutes because of product differentiation. So option C is the correct answer for this question. The next question, a market structure where there are few sellers who sell homogeneous or standardized products is called what? So let's look at the distinct characteristics here. There are few sellers and the products are homogeneous in nature. In fact, they are very standardized. And this is a specific characteristic of oligopoly. Next, a market structure where there are many sellers who are least likely to use advertising as a tool to enhance sales can be identified as what? So again, let's come back to the characteristics. Here there are many sellers, and you cannot use advertising to enhance your sales, mostly because the products are perfectly homogeneous in nature. And this we saw was a distinct characteristic of perfect competition. A company operating in a monopolistically competitive market will most likely maximize profits when its output quantity is set at such a level that there are three different options. Now, before we go into the options, let's try to understand what is the level of output where profits are maximized. We already know that the optimal quantity of output to be produced is at a point where the marginal revenue is equal to the marginal cost, and this is the point where profits are maximized. So option B is the correct answer. All right, moving to the next question. Petrol Limited is a petroleum based company who is currently enjoying a monopoly in a small town. There's no such seller in that town, and hence the company enjoys a monopoly. Currently, the marginal cost is $30, the average cost is $60. The price elasticity of demand is 1.4. So you need to find out what price would the company charge for its product. So let me write whatever is given here. So we know that marginal cost is equal to $30. The average cost is equal to 60, and the elasticity is 1.4, and we need to find out what is the price. We know that price should be such that the profits are maximum, and we also know that profits are maximum when the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. We already have the marginal cost from the data. What we do not know is the marginal revenue. So let's try to find out what the marginal revenue would be. Now, in order to do that, let's first look at the price elasticity of demand. And we know that price elasticity is equal to the change in quantity versus the change in price. So let me do some rearranging here. And this would be equal to delta Q by delta P times P by Q. Now let me take the inverse of this. So 1 by EP would be equal to delta P by delta Q times Q by P. So let me save this equation, which I would use to find the marginal revenue. Now let's look at what is marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is derived from the total revenue. In other words, we know that it is the rate of change of total revenue with respect to quantity. And what is total revenue? Total revenue is nothing but price times quantity. So how do I find out the change in total revenue with respect to quantity? I can simply take the differentiation of total revenue with respect to quantity. So this would be P dq by dq plus q dp by dq. So, and this is nothing but the marginal revenue. So this would be equal to P plus Q dp by dq. So let me do some rearranging here. So marginal revenue is equal to P plus, let me multiply and divide this term by P. So I would say P times Q by P. So if I cancel P and P, it would give me the same expression again. So P times Q by P times dP by dQ. So let me take P outside. So I would get P times 1 plus, let me write this whole equation here, Q by P dP by dQ within brackets. And look at this term. This is exactly the same as this. So I can write marginal revenue is equal to price 1 plus 1 by the price elasticity. Now I have the equation for marginal revenue, and I also know what my marginal cost is from the data. So from the data, my marginal cost is equal to $30. So what is my optimal point of production where I can maximize my profits? That is the point where my marginal revenue should equal the marginal cost. So which means P1 plus 1 by the price elasticity should equal 30. And I know that my price elasticity is 1.4, and because price elasticity is always negative, I put a negative sign here. So which means P1 minus 1 by 1.4. Why minus here? This is because of the negative price elasticity. So this should equal 30. And if I solve this equation, my price is approximately equal to $105. So this is the price that the company should charge in order to maximize its profits. Moving on to the next question. The demand schedule for a firm operating in a perfectly competitive market is given. And you also have the cost structure for the company in terms of total cost. You need to find out what will be the minimum price which would attract newer entrants into the market. Now, before we try to solve this, let's try to understand what happens in case of perfect competition. Now, let's look at this graph. I have quantity on the x-axis and dollar per unit on the y-axis. And we know that in case of perfect competition, the demand curve is a horizontal straight line. So I put this as P. And in case of perfect competition, my price is equal to the marginal revenue, because the price is the one which is set by the market and the firm cannot increase or decrease the price to change the quantity demanded. This is the marginal cost curve and this is the average cost curve. So notice that the marginal cost curve meets the average cost curve at a point where the average cost is minimum. All right, so what is the optimal quantity for the firm in this case? The optimal quantity is the point where the firm can maximize its profits, and that would happen when the marginal revenue curve meets the marginal cost curve. So I would put this as Q star, which is the optimal quantity. Now let me bring this price down to a point where it touches the average cost curve, and I will name this point as point E. So now you see that the equilibrium quantity has changed. But what is the significance of this point? This is the point where price is exactly equal to the average cost, and hence the profit is equal to 0. All right. And when profits are 0, it would no longer attract newer entrants into the market. So what is the minimum price which would attract newer entrants into the market? The newer entrants would come into the market as long as the price is above the average cost. The moment it touches the average cost and reaches break even, new entrants would no longer be coming into the market. So let's try to work out a solution for this problem. We have the equation for price and we have the total cost. And now we know that as long as price is above the average cost, it would attract newer entrants into the market. So as long as price is above the average cost, I will have new entrants into the market. So I need to find out the minimum price, which is just above the average cost. So if I have the value of P and the average cost, I have the answer to my question. Now the question is, how do I find P? I have the equation for P, but I do not have the quantity. So first of all, I need to find the quantity, and then I can use that to find the price as well as the total cost. Now, when I say quantity, what quantity am I referring to here? So this quantity is the quantity at which the firm is at break even and earning 0 profits. That's because when the firm is at 0 profit level, it would no longer attract new entrants into the market. Now earlier we saw that in case of perfect competition, when profits are equal to 0, this equation holds good. That is, price is equal to the average cost, which is equal to the marginal cost, and the marginal revenue. So if this equation holds good, then the profits are equal to 0, and this would no longer attract newer entrants into the market. So if I look into this figure, I need to find this quantity Q star, and with this quantity I can find the minimum price as well as the average cost. So I have this condition over here which holds good for perfect competition at zero profit level. So let me first start with the value of average cost. So I know that average cost is equal to the total cost divided by the quantity. So I have the equation for total cost over here. So I just put that here. So average cost is equal to 256 plus 2Q plus 4Q square divided by Q. So let me simplify this. So my average cost will be equal to 256 by Q plus 2 plus 4Q. So I still need to find the value of Q, and once I have the value of Q, I can find my average cost. Let me go to marginal cost now. So what is marginal cost? Marginal cost is equal to the rate of change of total cost with respect to quantity. So let me put the equation of total cost here. So marginal cost is equal to d by dq of 256 plus 2q plus 4q square. So this will be equal to the d by dq of constant is 0, and then 2 is a constant here, plus 4 times 2q. So my marginal cost will be equal to 2 plus 8q. So I have the equation for average cost. I also have the equation for marginal cost. Now let me try to make use of this equation here. So let me put this as marginal cost is equal to average cost. I get this equation from this equation. Let me call this as equation 1. So my marginal cost is 2 plus 8q, and my average cost is this 256 by q plus 2 plus 4q. And if I simplify this, I get something like this. Q square is equal to 256 by 4, which is 64. So my Q will be equal to 8 units. So in this case, price for 8 units is equal to 93 minus 1.4 times 8, and this is equal to $81.8. Now, is this the minimum price? We need to find out. If this price is greater than the average cost, then there is a chance for new entrants to enter the market. So let me first find the average cost here. So average cost for 8 units will be equal to 256 by 8 plus 2 plus 4 times 8. So I have used this equation to find the average cost, and if I simplify this, my average cost will be equal to $66. So definitely price is much higher than the average cost, which indicates that there is still a scope for new entrants to enter into the market because there are enough profits being generated in the industry. So as long as price is greater than the average cost, in this case, as long as price is greater than $66, it would continue to attract new entrants into the market. The moment price drops below $66, new entrants would stop entering the market because at that level, there would be no more profits in the industry. So the minimum price which would attract new entrants is just above $66. So the answer to this question would be just above $66. So this is the minimum price which would attract new entrants. Moving on to the next question. Companies most likely have a well-defined supply curve when the market structure is oligopoly, perfect competition, or monopolistic competition. So let's start with oligopoly. What happens in an oligopoly? Now, in an oligopoly, there is no well-defined supply function. This is because there is no way to determine the optimal level of output without knowing the competitor strategies and demand conditions. So in this case, the optimal level of output is highly volatile in nature. Moving on to perfect competition. In case of perfect competition, the price is determined by the market based on the demand and supply conditions, as you can see here in this figure. And because the demand is perfectly elastic in this case, sellers cannot afford to change their price. So hence we can see that price is equal to the marginal revenue, and the point where marginal revenue equals marginal cost gives the optimal quantity of output. So we can say that the firm would continue to produce as long as P is above the average costs, and this leads to a well-defined supply function. So in short, price depends on the demand and supply and not on competitor actions, which leads to a well-defined supply function. So option B is the correct answer in this case. Moving on to monopolistic competition, let's try to understand what happens in this case. There is no well-defined price because the price depends on the demand curve of the market, and in this case the demand curve is downward sloping. And also the marginal revenue is slightly lower than the market price due to inefficiencies of the market, and the information used to determine the appropriate level of output is based on the intersection of marginal cost and marginal revenue. But again, the price that will be charged is based on the market demand schedule. So we can say that there is no well-defined supply curve in case of monopolistic competition as well. The next question, if companies earn economic profits in a perfectly competitive market over the long run, the supply curve will most likely be what? Will it shift to the left, shift to the right, or remain unchanged? So this is the figure for perfect competition. Let's try to understand what happens when the firms tend to earn economic profits here. Remember, in case of perfect competition, there are low barriers to entry and exit. So definitely, when the firm is earning significant profits, it would attract new entrants into the market trying to sell similar kind of products in the market. And as a result, the supply in the market would increase. Now, if I look at this supply curve, this is my original supply curve. And if the quantity of supply increases, my new supply curve would be somewhere like this. So this is my new supply curve. So you can see that the supply curve has shifted to the right. So this is the correct answer. What happens to the equilibrium price in this case? So when supply increases and the demand remains the same, what happens to the price? The price is the intersection between the supply and the demand. So it will be somewhere here. So this is my new price. So we can see that the price would decrease. So there will be a decrease in the equilibrium price.